tried to make my stream setup a little bit fancier for you so it's a bit less disappointing in that regard. This is a different time. This isn't something that I've done regularly. This is a brand new one for me, so I will completely understand if I get very few viewers. And then eventually people watch this on catch up. I am fine with that, because in future I should be doing these every week. Is my audio input? Yes, my audio input is fine. So if you'll bear with me just a second while I point out to Twitter that this is taking place. And then we'll get into news. Originally, for news, the only thing I have at the moment is about Rey Mysterio and an update on his contract situation. So I'm just going to script out a tweet. I am live on YouTube now for a SmackDown preview and an update on Rey Mysterio. I'll put a WWE in there just for the sake of it. Anyone who does join, by all means, feel free to ask questions and anything there. So I'm going to get straight into it so this video has a bit more long-term longevity options. So my update on Rey Mysterio. A week and a half ago I spoke about the options for SummerSlam matches involving Mysterio. I said that if he had signed the contract by the Raw taping, we would see Rollins and Murphy versus Rey and Dominic. Failing that, WWE would attempt to convince Rey that their intentions were good by putting Seth into a singles match with Dominic. That is what has happened. However, while there is news today that Rey is close to signing a new contract, word from his camp is that he does not wish to do so until after SummerSlam because he wants to ensure that the WWE don't have time to change their minds, which is a stressful situation, really. I can imagine it's very difficult for him and for the people around him to have so little trust in the company. Dominic's future is the most important thing to Rey Mysterio, and Rey recently took time away from the Performance Center to continue Dominic's training. The release of Lance Storm, someone that Rey respected and wanted to have working with his son, is apparently one of the key reasons that Rey hasn't signed a new contract already. I will move on to the SmackDown preview now. I've got a bit of information here, looking at everything and providing some details that fill in some of the blanks that may have not been too apparent for the show. Unquestionably, the biggest news out of last week's SmackDown, and for many people the key reason to tune in, is The Fiend Bray Wyatt attacking Alexa Bliss. Bray Wyatt hasn't been to the Performance Center since the Money in the Bank pay-per-view was filmed, allowing him some time away with his family and to be present for the birth of his latest child. Now that he's back for the long haul, because he's already been through a new isolation period ready for this moment. The rumour mill's been going wild over the idea of Bliss as Sister Abigail, but this is apparently not the case, with Bliss being attacked as a way for Bray Wyatt to call out Braun Strowman. The Fiend has scared Braun into hiding, Braun having been given a couple of weeks off himself, with the planned double taping apparently going down to only one, possibly indicating that we won't be seeing Strowman this week either. We also might not see Alexa Bliss this week beyond a picture being put on the wall at the Firefly Funhouse. Hi Slayer, thanks for saying you loved last week's. This is going to be a regular thing, so if this isn't a great time slot, if people let me know, but at the moment it's going to be this time every Friday. This is definitely the most exciting thing on Friday nights, by which I'm talking about Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt, not this stream. Hopefully the WWE will go all in with this, meaning that Nikki Cross could potentially draw the Fiend's ire next, because she's going to feel very guilty about abandoning her friend at such a delicate time. The previous best thing on Friday nights, however, will likely be looking to reclaim their spot, and that will be Bayley and Sasha Banks. Bayley dispatched Nikki Cross convincingly last week, suggesting that this feud is over, but Asuka is still on the warpath and out for the blood of Bayley. Naomi may also wish to step up to the SmackDown Women's Champion, but her victory over Lacey Evans was inconclusive. Now would be a good time to run that match again as a number one contendership bout for SummerSlam. It's also possible this title won't be defended at SummerSlam due to a wish to not overload the show. Payback is there 1 week after to act as an overflow. Wolf says it's a perfect time slot for the States. Thank you. I know EST, it's 12 o'clock noon there. It is 5 o'clock in the afternoon here in the UK. And for my Indian audience, it is 9:30 in the evening. That is why I feel this is a perfect slot. I also do 5 o'clock live streams on Sportskeeter's Facebook page on Mondays at the same time for Raw. So once I let a few people know there, I'd imagine they'll be coming pretty regularly here as well. For the men's tag team titles, Cesaro and Nakamura seem set to defend against the Lucha House Party, who are the only team left on the face side who aren't already engaged elsewhere. Technically, you could say that Otis and Tucker as heavy machinery could be in that slot, but long term there is questions about that because Otis is obviously in a very different position. The match with the Lucha House Party should continue to develop this week, but I suspect the match won't be on a pay-per-view show. Welcome Soul Starling. AJ Styles is still currently without an opponent for SummerSlam. Drew Gulak is someone I would probably line up for that position, especially now that Chad Gable has switched sides. That's a match I really wanted to see more of. Matt Riddle is tied up with what's going on with Baron Corbin, so he isn't available either to take on AJ at SummerSlam as has been rumoured previously. It's possible that the Phenomenal One won't be on the card at all, but if I were him, I'd be keeping an eye on Jeff Hardy, who is now available and eager to pick a fight. Jeff faces Baron Corbin tonight. That would also be an interesting number one contender bout. Also worth keeping an eye on is Big E, who started his push last week against The Miz. Naturally, you would suspect that he will have a match tonight against John Morrison. Big E is someone I would love to see get that shot against AJ Styles at SummerSlam. I think he's very worthy of the opportunity, and I would like to see what he can do with that much direct scrutiny on him as a singles guy. I also think he'd be a very good Intercontinental Champion, but I wouldn't take it off Styles just yet. Sheamus is also now available, but seems like he's missing direction a little. What next for the Irish head kicker? Well, apparently tonight he'll be lining up against Matt Riddle. There's a lot of interchanging in these storylines, different pairings, and it feels a little bit like a wife swap situation. Don't expect this one to come to a clean finish, as Baron Corbin and Chad Gable are waiting in the wings. Corbin and Gable are undoubtedly going to be laying in a few attacks and ensuring that nobody gets a clean victory tonight. The idea with Riddle at the minute isn't about lining up enhancement talent, but allowing him a number of showcase matches against people he wants to face. Riddle is one of those that is apparently still being discussed for a potential move during the next draft. Rumours suggest that draft is only 2 months away after all. Dominic Perez asks, do you think fans will be back? For SummerSlam, definitely not. It is far too early for that. Any fans that would be there would be essentially plants who would still act as fans, but it's also worth pointing out that the WWE have been really sweetening the audio recently. Slightly too much for me. Hi back, a fan from Texas. Thank you very much for joining me here. I hope this is a good time for the US. Slayer says a great choice, so yeah, sounds like we've got this good. Okay. Finally, Mandy Rose was attacked by Sonya Deville and had quite a lot of her hair cut off. Deville has apparently pitched the idea of hair versus hair. I wouldn't be surprised if they even follow through with it, with Rose winning, but we'll learn more over the course of the night. I still expect Mandy Rose versus Bayley to be the big feud taking us into the end of the year. A little news on me, as I've mentioned, I'm going to be doing regular Friday live streams before SmackDown as previews here. I feel this is a good time for all of the different fan bases in certain locations and the viewership that I have looking at my demographics. I may do a bit more closer to the actual show if that seems like a better time for people, but I'm aware, for example, I have quite a large Indian audience who would be about 2-3 a.m. for them if I did it at that point, so that's something worth really thinking about. I also do my Monday live streams at the Sports Keeda page at the same time, and at the minute I'm putting together, I've already recorded it, I just have to do the editing, a retrospective review of SummerSlam 98. I'm aware that Brian Zane has done the same review, or at least the review of the same show, Brian Zane of Wrestling with Regret. I'm a big fan of Brian Zane's. I wasn't aware that he was going to do this by the time I actually did the recording, so happy coincidence. SummerSlam 98 was the first pay-per-view I ever watched, and it was also the first pay-per-view of the guest I had for this review, which was my colleague Stephanie Chase. That'll probably be next Sunday because Stephanie and I talk a lot. So I've got a 2-hour and 20-minute video, which is essentially as long as the pay-per-view itself, to edit down into a coherent review now. So next Sunday I will be premiering that, and if you want to check that out. In the meantime, I will still be doing my live stream at 10 p.m. this UK time on Sunday. That would be 5 p.m. EST for my American viewers. And unfortunately, that will be quite late in the day for the Indian viewership that I have, and particularly the East Asian audience as well. So you may get more information there. Hello, Pro Wrestling Slam. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the channel. Thank you to everyone who's joined me here. That's all for the SmackDown preview. I usually at this point do Q&A, but I'm still, as this is the first show, it'll take me a little bit of time to build an audience. A question from Slayer. Any news on Sami Zayn? Sami still, to my knowledge, has no interest in returning to work at the moment. He is waiting for this whole situation to be over before he is willing to return. He's particularly a little bit shaken up by everything that's happened recently with COVID in the WWE. He does not want to see that particular situation happening. He doesn't want to be involved in that. If anyone else has any more questions, or if anyone wants to click like on the video, I'd be very grateful of that, because that does help me to expand my audience. I'll stick around for another half minute or so to wait for the chat to essentially catch up. I know there is a delay. I'm also going to check and see if there's any problems or anything I've missed. And yeah, thought I'd pop over to the actual YouTube because I'm reading this through a stream. What I will ask is, I did a video on Pat McAfee yesterday and why he's facing off with Adam Cole. That was with my new setup. You'll see I've got a TV screen behind me here. At the moment it's showing SmackDown. I may need to move the screen in future to make it a bit more visible. In addition to that, I've been recording from over here, so you've got me and the screen in it for any videos. For future live streams, I am planning to do a different section. I will show you what I do. But that's something I'm looking at for the future as a way to have information behind me here and information in front of me, but have me in the corner there. Okay. What I will say now is thank you to everyone who's joined me and everyone who will hopefully also join me in the future. I will undoubtedly be here regularly every single week for these previews, wherever I may be at the time, unless I end up traveling on a train or something. Strange things happen in the world of pro wrestling. So there'll be a lot more live content. Thank you to everyone who's joined, and I will see you all next time.